All right, good morning, everybody. We're ready to get started here. Just a reminder, if you can use that raise hand feature on the side, we'll work through those. Coach Aranda's here. We'll let Bryce Cherry from the Waco Trib get us started.
Yeah, Dave, good morning. Wanted to ask you about Tristan Ebner right off the bat. He had 5 kick returns in his career before Saturday, and obviously we saw what he did. What did y'all see in him that made you think he would be a really great kick returner? And kind of the second part of that question is, do you expect special teams to continue to have that kind of impact as the season progresses?
No, I appreciate the question. Well, with Ebner, he wanted to be on teams, and he wanted to be in that position. And then, for us, just looking at what he's accomplished just as a running back and his speed and his athleticism and his ability to catch and handle kicks was very impressive from the start with us. And so, really excited to see him have this success. And I'm a fan of his, and we're anticipating continued improvement because there's a fair amount of things we can get better on teams. But I know Coach Powell, just in speaking with him, just the emphasis on the details and finding the right people for the right jobs, and to get more and more talent on those teams and get them meshing the way that we did on a few of them on Saturday is for sure the goal. So excited for that.
Next, we'll go to Kevin Lundqvist. You're on mute, Kevin.
All right, Dave, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, sorry about that. Okay, I don't know to what extent you can speak to this right now, Dave, but are you anticipating getting Xavier Newman, Blake Bettier, and Jake Burton back this week for West Virginia?
We're anticipating having Xavier back, and so we're excited for that. I think Xavier gives us the ability to make mic IDs, and there's a toughness and a football intelligence that comes with having him in there. And then we're still in a wait and see mode with Blake and with Jake, and so we're hopeful that we will have them for Saturday.
Okay, and then lastly, my second question would be, we talked so much, or you talked about the tackling and trying to see what this thing was going to look like with all the limited contact you had. What was your assessment from watching the film of the quality of tackling you saw from your team on Saturday?
No, appreciate that. Yeah, I thought it was good. Now there's things we can improve. There's a few open field tackles where our angles, and we talk about owning our leverage. And so wherever you are in relation to the ball carrier, if you're inside out, then your eyes are on the inside hip of the ball carrier, and you own that leverage, and you attack and close off the space between you and the ball carrier. And we're saying that if you're coming from that position, there's somebody coming from, let's say, the outside in, and we're talking about this type of ice. And so we want to play fast, playing to our help. So whether you're working with another defender or you're working, let's say, with the sideline, if that ball is more towards the numbers. And so I think in terms of keeping and owning that leverage, we were okay. We can be better, and we're aiming to make improvement this week. But I think in terms of overall tackling, though, I thought we were better than okay, and a lot of that had to do with just effort. There was great effort, I thought, throughout, and there was mistakes that happened in the angle, in sustaining the right angles, but it was overrun by just great effort from all 11. And so I think anytime you have that, you'll take it. And so it was good to see. We're going to continue to improve on tackling, though.
Yeah, it looked like your angles were pretty good, though, especially on a couple occasions with Jalen Petrie.
Yes, yeah, Jalen especially. I think he's very talented, and in identifying those types of things. I think, and there's there is a football intelligence that comes with just knowing spatial relation, knowing where your help is, knowing, hey, in this call, right, I've got help here, or in this part of the field, right, I've got a short boundary, and so I'm going to use that boundary as a 12th guy. I think we try to teach to that. I think Jalen has either been taught that already or instinctively, or has that inside of him. And so when that comes out, it's great teaching tape for us. But he did tackle very well.
Thank you very much.
Go to Matt Roberts next.
Yeah, Dave, you hear a lot of times that teams make their biggest jump from week 1 to week 2. Is that something that you ascribe to? And does that change at all with how different things have been this season?
No, I appreciate the question, and I agree with that. I think anytime, especially for us just being just the first time out, and so just how we handle travel, for us, our home hotel, now on an away hotel, how we handle meetings at the hotel, right? How we handle a Saturday morning, how we handle a Friday night. Those are all details I think that can add up. There's an excitement that comes with knowing that a game is pending, but the more clear and concise those things are, I think the more settled we are come game time. So I think those will get better just as a result of just your second time through. And then I think player-wise, piggybacking off of what we just talked about. So like if I'm in space and I'm playing with someone that I just played a game with, there's a better feel of, hey, I can count on him to set the edge. And so now I can really, let it rip and come inside out, knowing that there's an edge that's set. Along with, let's say, there's a double team block that we spent a lot of time on in the week before, and now we're repping it again throughout the week, and we're going to run it again on Saturday. Well, we've had that experience of working together, and we're going to really make sure we kind of root this guy out and move him back, and all those things in terms of depending on teammates and knowing where guys are going to be. I think you're always going to see the improvement when you continue to work on the right stuff and spend time on details. I feel that improvement will come shortly thereafter.
Thanks, Dave.
We'll go to Matt Mosley next.
Dave, what do you say to Christian Morgan after that targeting? Last season and previous seasons, targeting has been an issue with at least one of the Baylor safeties missing some games because of that. What do you say to him? You don't want to take the aggressiveness away from him, I know, but what was your feedback to him after that?
Yeah, I appreciate that. We watched some of those fouls yesterday, as in front of the team. And so Christian, was one of them. And I feel like, a good comparison there would be there was a punt. I believe it was a punt that we had, and it was a really late fair catch. And so Kansas was going to get him. It was really late. And so as we were kind of closing in on the tackle or closing into the finish, it was really late, and we might have had some contact, but we veered off the last second. And so I would compare that to the Christian Morgan, foul. And so we talk about like a strike zone from the chest level to about the mid torso, and that's where we've got to be able to hit our pitches, right? Anything up here we want to stay away from, and then anything below torso on down we want to stay away from. So we want to be able to hit right here, and it's a small target, and especially when it's moving, it makes it even more difficult. But, I think what we talked about with Christian is that, hey, man, you're coming like this, and if you're getting a quarterback that's starting to slide, right, much like that late fair catch, you have to be able to maneuver out. You got to be able to get out of the way. And he goes, Coach, I didn't know if he was going to run me over and everything. And I said, man, I feel what you're saying, and I agree with your statement right there. But just where the game is at, and to keep everybody keep everybody playing and to keep everybody safe, this is what it is. And so we're talking about some drills that we can really hone in that can help us with that type of fast-moving decision, because we're gonna face more circumstances like that. But anytime you're dealing with a quarterback, you have to be really aware of it. Anytime you're dealing on a sideline, right, you've got to be aware, late hits and that, or hits outside the sideline. I think that showed up in our game on our opponent. And then anytime you're talking about balls that are thrown over the middle, you're talking about that as well in terms of the strike zone. And so I think education, emphasis, drills will be ways to move forward there.
What did you think of the overall performance of your secondary? It seemed like Woods had one really good series and was pretty sharp at closing on the ball and making some hits. What did you think of that whole unit?
I thought they did a good job. I thought they were, when we were able to communicate and have our cleats in the grass and be settled, I thought we played really well. And I think there's some work we can do just in terms of the communication from all the way up top to down below to on the field. And I think these are things where it's just first game and you kind of improve and you learn and you grow that way. But I think that communication all the way down to our players is an area that we can continue to improve. There's areas to grow there. And so when our secondary was settled and ready to play, I thought they were where they needed to be. And there were some different looks that we saw in this game, more so than what we prepared for. And so you talk about Brian Stewart, Matt Powledge, and Ron Roberts and the adjustments they made and, the coaching that went on the sideline, really proud of that.
We'll go to John Werner next.
Dave, your first road game, West Virginia is basically not allowing any fans in. Does that help at all, being the road team, or how are you approaching that?
We're approaching this as, this is about us and to just take our show on the road. And so, like, how we handle the day-to-day, how we handle, our walkthroughs, how we handle our meetings, how we handle our pregame, how we handle adverse situations is all about us. And so we're really trying to hone in that way. I feel like the no fans there will be an effect there, but would really like for our players and our coaches to just be so tuned in to what we're doing and what the exact call or situation requires, that stuff kind of just fades away. And I feel, at times, being at home, and I thought there was some good crowd noise when we needed it. And so appreciative of our fans and the student section in particular. But I think any time that you've got noise and you use it, and then when you don't have noise, that you bring your own juice, right? And it's about you. And so I think there was times where that took place on Saturday as well. And so we want to be able to carry that over here this next week.
I wanted to also ask you a little bit more about Jalen Petrie. How have you seen him grow since you've been there? And just overall, what do you like about the way he plays?
I think Jalen, first of all, is just a great person. And so he's got a great heart. I see him just treat people right. I see him have respect for people. He's got respect for himself. I feel like he's a great student. And so the things that he does off the field are very impressive and something that I think all of our players can strive towards. On the field, when we first got here, he was an inside linebacker. And then moving him some to safety And then I remember during that time just thinking, this guy looks to me like he's a star. And, I know Ron was feeling the same way. And so I think that position is just made for him because it's a combination of both the linebacker and the safety. And it highlights his ability to blitz, his ability to set the edge, and then he does just enough cover, has enough just cover responsibilities that he's keeping people honest with things. And so I think the best is yet to come with him.
Thanks, Dave.
Next up, Jerry Hill.
Dave, with West Virginia having a couple of games on film that you can watch, what do you see from them? And I think this is Coach Brown's second year. What have you seen from him as well?
So West Virginia, to me, what strikes out is just their skill, their speed at running back and their speed at receiver. I think their running back is a tough runner. He's got great vision. I think if we lose a gap or we lose an edge, they're a big stretch team. Then he can eat up some yards pretty quick. And then I think defensively, just very disruptive, just very different from some of the previous teams that we've been preparing for. And so they're creative in how they get 4- and 5-man rushes, a lot of twists and stunts and linebacker pressures and that. And so I think they cause a lot of disruption. I like the stuff they do on defense. And special teams, I think they're an effective return unit. I think they're one of they've also been effective in covering so far this year. So that's a major challenge for us. And then you have a lot of respect for Neil. First of all, he whooped us when I was at LSU, and so I'm going to remember. That's a pretty vivid memory there, and so he did a great job. And everyone that I talk to about him feels the same way that I feel, that he's just a great person. And I know he's a very effective and strong coach, but he treats people right. There's a lot of respect in the coaching community for him, and I'm happy that he's in our league. I think he makes us all better.
Can you pick out things from film this past week? That first kickoff by Tristan where John's just busting it down the field, is that something you can really show other guys? Like, this is your running back, and he's down there blocking all the way.
Yeah, that was the first clip we showed the team yesterday, was that one. And so we talk about, the Baylor ID, the toughest, hardest working, most competitive team in the country. And that play by John is an illustration of that.
All right, we'll go to David Smoke next.
Dave, you've been now the coordinator, you've been an assistant coach. Now that you're a head coach, what was the difference game day wise for you? Chatter on the headsets, was there much of a difference? Is it a different, not quite as many details and more of a summary?
That's probably pretty true. I think when you're a coordinator, you're so locked into your side, and it's really it's almost like a murder mystery a little bit in terms of these are the clues, this is how you have to solve this caper, right, and all that, and you're trying to figure that out all out in some pressure situations, and trying to find out which clues not to follow, which clues to hone in on, and where's home base, where are you going to catch them, And I think when you're not in that position, you're kind of seeing things play out, and not as probably as an in-depth level, but you're definitely aware of why we called this particular play, what we're anticipating in this situation or this field zone, or but then also for me, I'm thinking ahead. I'm thinking, time-wise, clock-wise. I'm thinking, hey, there's some momentum going here. If we get a stop, we need this from our offense or this from our teams. So you're looking at the perspective is not as narrow. It's much broader and inclusive in the role I'm in now.
Go to Matt Roberts.
Yeah, Dave, just curious what you see from a coaching standpoint. You talked a little bit about their offense, but as far as Jarrett Dagey and kind of what he does for their offense, what do you see from him, from the quarterback position?
He's got a great feel for the game, and so I don't see him make a lot of throws that are unwarranted. I see him put the ball where it needs to be. I think he's got just enough athleticism to make you have to be concerned with their read game. I think I feel like he's got some good football intelligence. I think there's great anticipation on throws, and I feel like he's trusted. I feel like a lot of it goes through him, and so it's a really good offense, and that they've had some really good, quarterbacks in the past, and I think he's already done some good things. I'm sure they're looking for more. It's a challenge for us.
Thanks, Dave.
All right, we'll let Jerry Hill finish us up.
Dave, you talked about it a little bit after the game, but you had 3 first-time starters in that defensive line. What did you see from those guys?
I thought they did a great job of playing the run early in the game. And so I thought they were able to get penetration. They were able to get extension. I think early in camp, we were up like this tight sometimes, and we would step into blockers and not be able to get big in a gap. And I thought towards the end, or in this game, we were able to get lockout and then show up, put color in that gap. And you look at it from the end zone view, you saw Baylor, A, B, C, and everything across the line, and that was really good to see. And a lot of credit to our front people and Dennis Johnson and everything. And the other part I thought they did well was pass rush lanes. I think especially early in the game, we were concerned with some of the coverages that we were doing. The more people we're putting back here to cover these guys, the less people we have to rush and kind of secure the quarterback in terms of a scramble and that. And I thought we did a good job early. We lost a little bit of that at the end of the game, and we're certainly going to work to improve it. But I thought there was a great account of our front, and we're only going to grow and get better.
Thanks, Dave.
All right, thanks, everybody. You'll have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, guys.